And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the What's in Your Cup podcast. Today, I am joined by Mark and two special guests. We have Amani and Renee. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello. My name is Amani. Thank you so much for having me, John. We've known each other for a couple years now, and I'm very happy to share my expertise and contribute to the following topics. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Renee. They just found me on the side of the street, so I'm here to keep you entertained.
It was on a cold winter day. We just felt bad for once and had to help.
It was snowing sideways. Don't forget that.
It was snowing sideways.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how have you guys been with everything? How's life?
Technically, it's my birthday today.
Wait,
Really?
what? and
Yes.
you're choosing it to spend with us?
Honestly, yes. You guys have been making my
What?
evening. So
Wow.
now
I feel so much more special. Thank
Wait,
you.
happy
Aw.
birthday. Wait, I'm actually surprised.
No, and I'm so serious too. I'm not even lying.
So, wait, what do you mean by technically it's your birthday?
Like, technically,
Wait, were you
some
born
years
today?
ago,
Oh.
I came to this earth on this day. Wild, right?
But I mean, but I thought, when you were saying, technically, I thought you were going to say something along the lines of, I celebrated my birthday over the weekend, but today is my actual birthday.
No, today is actually the birthday.
Really? Why
I
aren't
just-
you, why are you guys with us?
Where else would I rather be?
Why would you ask them that?
Dang.
Mark, you're a fun guy to be around, so don't worry.
Oh, thank you. That humbles me.
I don't look at your head. Anyway,
So you guys, you said you worked with publishing, correct?
indeed, I work for one of the big five publishing companies. So there are the five big ones. There's Penguin, there's Simon and Schuster, there's Macmillan, and then there's HarperCollins, and there's Hachette Book Group. So I work for one of those five. I won't be specific. And if you have any questions about that industry, which is very unique, it's very unlike other media industries like TV and film and gaming. No, this one has its own idiosyncrasies. It has its own this character, so many English majors leaving their mark. So yeah, excited to talk about that and other things too. Yeah.
So one question I have about the publishing industry is what makes you unique compared to, because you always hear about, print media is dead. Nobody reads anymore. Everybody's on TikTok or everybody's just watching, their entertainment. So how is this different than, let's say, other media segments?
It's funny you say that because during the pandemic, there was actually sales data that showed that there were higher print sales. So it showed that there was actually a demand for comforting fiction to get through stressful times. And that trend has continued, so much so that Barnes & Noble, which I don't know if you noticed in the news, was actually doing quite poorly the last couple years, is now going through a resurgence based on people's renewed interest in print media. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
So then I get to go back to Barnes & Noble's, read a book for 5 minutes, get a Starbucks coffee, and just, wig out? I can do that again?
So the way they lay out their... the industry, there's Amazon, which is the thorn in the industry side, and that's not going to change anytime soon. But that said, Barnes & Noble has changed the layout of the interiors of their stores, so it's actually a lot more pleasing to browse, and apparently it also increases sales. And they do this fun thing now, not just Barnes & Noble, bookstores, they have these books covered in paper, and then it's called a blind book date. So then you write different qualities of the book on the paper, and it's like a gift wrapped.
I like that idea.
And you pick it up based on the adjectives there, like this is a crime thriller, this is sapphic, this is a really good romance, blah, blah, blah. And then you find out the book when you buy it. So it's little quirks like that, but... yeah, no, print media is a lot more popular than you might think, Mark. Also, a lot of our sales come from ebooks and especially audiobooks. Audiobooks.
I wanted to ask about that. Do you have any audiobooks you recommend? Because I actually want to start that. I wanted to do the Game of Thrones audiobooks. Yes, I still have to watch the show. Don't give me that look.
No. I'm sorry. To fill you guys in, John is very into film And so he has a show, and I respect it because he'll finish the show through the end, through all of the great seasons and the terrible seasons, or even just a long show. So I've been telling him, and this has been going on for a year. I'm like,
it's been going on longer than a year.
Watch Game of Thrones, please. Watch Game of Thrones. Watch
Game
Game
of
Thrones.
Years, and I'm just
and you're just like, no. Even though it is arguably, if not the best show ever.
That's a hot take.
That's arguable.
Wait,
I can argue.
I think the first 4 seasons are the best show ever.
Six. We can go with 6.
You can go to 6.
We could do 6. But the fact that you're going to sit through hundreds of hours of Game of Thrones, you're going to sit through hundreds of hours of Game of Thrones audiobook. That's just very disrespectful. I'm taking that personally. That you're saying, rather than watching, give Mark the W. And we can have intellectual conversations about the continent of Westeros.
Yeah. Which actor is like the hottest naked?
But what I'm saying is, you're going to voluntarily listen to thousands of hours of those books when you can just watch them.
What if I just wanted to start with the source material?
But seasons 1 through 4 are basically the books. Like, they follow the books.
No, you said that HBO exaggerated it a bit.
Obviously, but not. Like, seasons 1 through 4 are... I didn't read the book, so take whatever I have to say with a huge grain of salt. But my girlfriend's mother actually read the books, and she told me that seasons 1 through 4 are actually, like, very close. That's why Amani said that, the show ends at season 4, because that's when the show catches up to the books. And then after, the books, it just goes off on its own, and that's when a lot of fans are like, yeah, that's when the show became shit.
So do you have any other audiobook recommendations besides Game of Thrones? Well, how about this is a Lord of the Rings one, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. I'm not too familiar with it, but a lot of those big franchises, their audiobooks have full casts. So some audiobooks have just one actor or actress that's reading for every character. Those are like serviceable. Then you have those tentpole audiobooks that they really sell, that have stacked casts. And a good example of that is, I don't know if you saw the ads around New York City. On Audible, Amazon's audiobook arm, they were advertising The Sandman. It was a graphic novel, and they converted it to audiobook format.
I've seen that. There's also a TV show on Netflix, apparently.
Yeah, no, it was a big franchise they were pushing, and the audiobook came first before the TV show, and apparently did pretty well. So, Sandman, I would recommend that one. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
So going back to, what I was wondering was going back to kind of like the publishing houses. I remember this was I think last summer that people were talking about one of the 2 major publishing houses wanted to merge, right? And I forgot which ones it was, but they wanted to merge, and then people were saying, oh, there's going to be like no competition. It'll be like 3 only controlling, all of the publishing of all of the authors, and authors wouldn't have, competition. So, like, what were your thoughts on that?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Mark. I mean, that's like a trend across all industries, growth through mergers and acquisitions rather than through innovation. And, you just said it.
Penguin, why try hard when I can just buy you out and steal your shit?
That's what Penguin tried to do. And then the DOJ said, no, you can't do that. So now it's funny. So Penguin came out with this statement that was like, okay, we shouldn't have done that. We're going to grow through innovation and try and find efficiencies. And then they use AI as like one of their productivity tools that they're going to use to build that growth. Riding the hype. So it's funny because Penguin Random House actually is a product of a merger within the last decade, Penguin and Random House. So it used to be the big 6 publishing houses before they merged, so they were going to do it again. And another one. Then it would have been the big 4. But yeah, no, truthfully, there's a big stigma around many of the houses that they're slow to innovate, that many of their executives just kind of rely on the tried and true methods of selling books and are very open to new ways. So that's something that does need to change. And I think another reality is a lot of the people that rise through the ranks, they had a very liberal arts, undergrad education, the English for the most part, or maybe other social sciences. So not a lot of people are coming in with maybe harder skills that they could use to, add new perspectives. So that is also a contributing factor in why there might not be as much growth as there should be. So yeah.
So what are some, in your opinion, or from what you've seen in the industry, what are the kind of like, maybe I'm just a dumb person, but when you sell a book, it's here's a book, you read the synopsis on the back cover, and boom, I like it or I don't like it. So what are kind of like the innovative ways to try to capture audiences to sell books?
So the easy answer will be influencer marketing. A lot of people love their book talk stars.
Oh wow!
They're not like yo, what's up, guys? I just read this great book, cover to cover. You gotta try it. It's not like one of those things.
Let me tell you a story, John. Get ready. There was this guy on Twitter who literally said exactly what you said. He said, guys, all of you, read this book. Stop what you're doing and buy this book. And this guy, he's a Trigun fan account, an anime fan account. And he was advertising this sci-fi book that was like a sapphic romance. That's not the typical thing you would expect like gamer bros to read. But he was like, no, like to all of his followers, read this book. Buy this book. And that book, that very week, made it to the top of the New York Times list of best-selling books in the country. So influencer marketing is a tried and true way of achieving sales goals. And, there are other ways too. You want to advertise on the right website where a lot of book readers go, Goodreads, I'm sure you've heard. And there are others like NetGalley and Edelweiss and other that you may not, that more avid readers will go to. And publicity. Listen, most people find out about, these big tentpole books when the New York Times covers it or Wall Street Journal, one of these big media outlets. So big part of the job is reaching out to those journalists, make sure they know what's going on.
I remember what was really funny about the New York Times, and I don't know, Renee, you might find this funny because this is right up your alley, is I used to work with a guy this is going to be a long thread. A former coworker of mine's girlfriend used to work for this kind of like startup that was politically active, right? And so she went to Manhattan College. So there was a guy named Anthony Scaramucci that was doing like a, kind of like a book tour at the college. And he was just giving out books. He was giving out books because he was like, look, you can burn this book. You can read this book. You can do whatever you want with this book, but I'm not taking these books back with me. Because apparently, to get on, what some authors do is they will buy their own book to artificially boost sales. This is a legend now. Boost sales so that they can get on like, the New York Times, top sellers. Is that true, or is that kind of just,
I'd like to know the answer to that too. I feel like that's a big conspiracy.
I can't speak to that specific instance, but I can say, a matter of factly, that just because a book makes it to the New York Times bestseller list does not mean it was profitable at all. Because a lot of these books, they way more may have gone into the marketing budget or the publicity budget, and then way more than this the profit showed. So yeah,
that's so weird. That's giving, back to our former episode with the Oscars of like, is it really, did they really win? Or did you really get into the New York Times bestsellers? Or was it all just political? Like,
was it all in your marketing strategy?
Yeah.
All that shit, yeah.
But, oh man. So
do you guys have like a favorite book or like anything that you've read over and over again?
So I love The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a great book. It's very funny. It's you can read it over and over again. Never gets old. You find new things.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What about you, Renee?
I'm a nerd. I really like the Decameron. It's this old medieval book, but it's just a bunch of fairy tales. Essentially, 100 different stories, 100 different fairy tales, all about nonsense. Very entertaining. Highly recommended.
That sounds really cool.
That reminds me of the Canterbury Tales.
Oh my gosh. Funny you mentioned that. I have such a niche relationship with medieval literature. Literally my major. The stories in the Decameron, many of which came from Chaucer's Canterbury Tales.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. So my high school English teacher actually did teach me something. Wow.
Well, a lot of literature is just based on, it's just recreations of something else.
Samples.
Yeah.
Like everything, everything. There is no such thing as an original idea. It's all just taken from something that came way before that nobody remembers, brought back, and then redone. And but you change a couple things so it makes it seem like it's original. You see it in film all the time. I can't speak for like books, but I can speak for film. And like people sometimes directly copy and paste something as like a quote unquote homage to the whole thing. And it's like, no, you got lazy and you copied it. Like, you can't fool me.
I mean, hot take though, if you steal something, but you steal it and do it good, better than it was done the original time, I feel like you earn that.
Ooh, that is a hot take.
I feel like you earn that.
But it will always follow you because somebody will know what you did and they will remind you of what you did.
I mean, they should have simply done it better. They would have been worth remembering had they done it right the first time.
Oh, wow.
Oh man.
That's
kinda
what
rude.
I think that's what Kanye.
With some
used to
hard
do.
working.
No, not Kanye.
I think
hardworking
that was the argument that I think that was the argument that Kanye used to do. Like people are like, why are you sampling all these old ass?
He samples a lot.
But
I didn't
he would be
realize how
like-
badly he
but-
samples.
But he's
everything.
iconic.
But his whole thing was like, but you should thank me because I'm bringing your old ass music to a new generation. You should actually be thanking me because I made you cool again. That's what.
Did he lie?
I can't say he did.
Well, you have to
Exactly.
credit each time you do it. So
He wouldn't. Or I know one thing with Kanye
he
was,
would never credit his features.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
He would never. credit
That
his
is so
features.
disrespectful, especially when they make up more than half your song. You should be crediting them.
At all the lights, Rihanna.
Oh, actually, wait, yeah.
He did not credit it. What was really funny was I remember when Rihanna was doing the Super Bowl and she was opening up with all the lights. We were all like, "Is Kanye coming out?" Like this was after he did all his Infowars stuff. So we're just like, "Oh, is he about to come out?" But she just did her little segment. So going back to the medieval literature, you majored in medieval literature, or
I majored in Italian language and literature, but so much Italian literature is just medieval. So you have to read Dante, you have to read Boccaccio, Petrarch, all of that stuff.
would you say that was hard to read? Because sometimes when I read, I don't read like capital R.
You don't drag
Wait.
your finger across the page for each line.
I don't like read. Like I read
But you-
news articles, but I don't read.
But you can read. Though,
yeah, but I
right?
can't read.
So you are literate.
Yeah, I am literate.
Cool.
So, but I remember reading,
Do
Beowulf.
these books have pictures in it?
They have like small ones,
Like sample,
like samples. No,
like
but
referendum E or something.
but when I read, old literature, it's like hard to read it. Did they like teach you how to read old literature, or they just like throw, a 500-year-old story in front of you and be like, read it?
No, you definitely have to learn how to read that literature. It's like taking a history course, a literature course. And flex, I did read it all in Italian.
Oh.
Just
wow.
to put that out there. Not saying I'm better than anyone, but but no, you have to first learn like the historical context, like what is the world that this literature came out of? Why was the author thinking like this? So like for Dante, for Boccaccio, the plague had just decimated their home. That's real traumatizing. So of course they're writing these fairy tales, these fantastic stories as a way to escape. And I mean, I think that's the great thing about literature is despite, the difference between 1,000 years, people never change. Everyone wants to be entertained. They want to escape reality. They want a story to be told, and they want it to be, something new, something interesting. And sometimes it's just the same story told in a different font.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys ever read like the original like sources of media for like, because you know how like Disney takes like old stories, like old princess stories that are like way more graphic in their like original format?
Yes, those
have you
German
have you ever like
authors.
read those originals before? Because there's one for like The Little Mermaid, there's one for Mulan, there's one for Cinderella, and they're much more like graphic going back. And some of them, like, I know for a class, we viewed the original Beauty and the Beast that came out in like the 1920s, I think, which is from like the original text from like 100 something, 200 something years ago. And it's like, it's way different than the Disney adaptation by far.
How so?
So, like, I'm trying to remember it all.
Like, I remember with The Little Mermaid, I didn't, granted, huge grain of salt disclaimer, I never read the original Little Mermaid story, but I heard at the end she kills herself. Right? Like, I heard at the end in the Danish story, the Little Mermaid, like, dies or something. Because, like, you know, she can't go back to being a mermaid.
I think
she
like,
stays a human and becomes very sad. And, like, the whole story is, like, don't change who you are.
I think she, like, goes back into the water, but then, like, dissolves into something in the
I think she becomes sea foam.
She becomes she becomes sea foam back into the water, and then doesn't she like turn into like a spirit or something after the fact? I can't remember, but I know that in the I remember like the movie adaptation they did for the Beauty and the Beast one in the 20s was way more graphic, much more violent. Good costume design for the 20s, surprisingly. Even though they kind of like, you know, they have to work with what they got.
Yeah.
Like if you ever seen like the Wolfman, like from the 20s, he kind of like, imagine him, but like on steroids. That's kind of what and in like French garb. It's kind of funny actually. But I think like some of one of them's like an archer. No, not the archer. The what's Gaston? Do you know? You remember that character that's like pining after Belle? Mm-hmm. I think he actually dies at the end. Like some gruesome way, something like that. Like there's like it's very similar, but like much more graphic. You know, like certain events like get carried out in much more graphic ways.
I'm rattling my brain because I feel like I know exactly what book you're talking about. It's these German authors, and I remember. No, I didn't read them, but I do remember kind of discussing in our like the context of the class, like these.
Are you thinking of the Brothers Grimm?
Yes, these like old stories. They were not just there to be entertaining and like make you feel good. They were meant to scare you.
They're meant to scare kids.
Yeah, they're what's the word? It's like they teach moral lessons, and it's like, you know, if you're a bad kid, yeah, you're gonna die and go straight to hell. So don't do that.
Did you ever read the original Red Riding Hood?
No. Again, I don't read.
It's horrific. Like, you ever read it, Amani?
No, no.
Oh, well, please give us a little summary.
So it starts off the usual way. She's got to go deliver food to her grandmother, followed by the wolf, you know, and everything. Because I took a class back in college where it was just going through like the context of the original stories and how like over the years, like a lot of academics just try to like come up with these random theories. Like one theory was that Red Riding Hood is actually a communist story about because she wears a red cloak and runs away from her family to go get eaten by the state, by the wolf who's supposed to be the state or something like that. Like they come up with these random theories, which like back like 400 years ago, that wasn't the idea.
Did
it was just to
communism
scare
exist?
kids. It was just to scare the kids. Like, but then like when you have to write a thesis paper, you kind of come up with everything. Yeah. It was like one of those scenarios. But the original story, she goes off on her own. She runs into the wolf like, oh, like that's the beginning of the story. Right away, like Red Riding Hood, like the grandmother gets eaten dead, like in the gut, dissolving in the gut. Yeah, she's dead.
Deleted.
You know, Red Riding Hood comes up. She gets eaten. I can't remember if she immediately dies or not, but then like her screams are heard by the woodsman, the axe carrying woodsman comes in, just completely like tears open the wolf, like guts and everything all over the bed, and like barely, like the grandma's dead, grandma's not coming back, but I think like he's able like to pull her out of his stomach and like try to clean her up and like brings her home or something like that, but she's like scarred for life after the fact. Like it's a gruesome story,
and it's like obey your parents.
Like don't talk to strangers, follow the path. It's like it's supposed to be like a horrific moral story.
Oh wow, that's really interesting. I never read like the original source material, like you were saying. Like I know the most not gruesome story, but like one story that I remember reading a lot as a kid. Have you ever read The Call of the Wild by Jack London?
No.
I have.
Yeah,
I read it.
That is such a good book. I know it's like kind of completely unrelated to what we're talking about, but I just know the story of Buck, like, you know, and how like he would always be fighting with the dog. Like Buck is a dog, and the whole kind of plot is you have this very wealthy dog from like Southern California that's like abducted and then becomes a dog that goes into the Yukon and becomes a sled dog and like goes through all these trials and tribulations, and it's supposed to represent like life, and that, you know, there is inherent, how I interpret it, there's like inherent struggle in life, right? That, and so, and I know reading that at like 13, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of like my own dog, like Woody, I'll never like leave you. But, you know, yeah, I remember that was like a book that I remember reading a lot. But so how would you say with you know, medieval literature, like the old, I'm just gonna say old world literature, compares with like contemporary literature, in the sense of, you know, when we say like the classics, we're talking, you know, like The Great Gatsby, you know, Grapes of Wrath, all of, like, you know, all of those.
In my opinion, I think people kind of take either modernism or postmodernism a little bit too far, where everything's kind of just a reference. Like, do you know anything about the postmodernism?
Not at all.
So basically, like, the most blatant definition, at least from what I remember, because I was taking classes on it, is that it's just kind of you're setting things up in a world that's already influenced by the past. So when you're talking about things, it's almost like things in reference to popular culture from before, and then that's the story. So like a postmodernist piece wouldn't be an original tale where you have to come up with everything. Like, the character could be knowledgeable of events from the past, or they could reference things in the artwork and then use that as an art piece. Because then it gets away, like, it'll reference like stuff from the 80s or like the 90s, or it'll be like, or people like create artwork where, like, I know a lot of people don't see it like this, but like, if you ever watch like Adult Swim programs, Adult Swim does this a lot. They're very much like a postmodernist thing, but they kind of push it to like an edgy, like, adult animation factor. And there's this great video, if you want to watch it. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of this. I watched this like 1,000 times. It starts off as an 80s sitcom intro that constantly replays itself, but each time it replays itself, it gets worse and worse over time, by a serial killer hunting down the members of like the 80s sitcom family. And the scenes just get progressively more like, almost like an acid trip, getting progressively more. And it's supposed to be, if you look at like these analysis of the video itself, it's actually like a great piece of postmodernist culture. So I highly suggest you check that out.
That sounds scary.
So it's an example. It's an example of that, like The Simpsons and Family Guy and Rick and Morty, because they make so many references to.
Yeah, like postmodernist satires that like they're referencing the world around them as they're trying to be artistic in their own way. So that's like, I think that's what people kind of take advantage of, rather than being completely original and creating an idea. They're like, oh, I could just reference this thing from the past because everybody knows about it, and it'll create more popularity with it, which in a sense it kind of does. But again, you can't really call it original because you're referencing something that already exists. Or it's like you're watching a horror movie, and then, you know, like there's like the babysitter sitting on the couch watching a horror movie within the horror movie. That's postmodernism, because you're referencing something that exists in the universe, but it's affecting the genre of what you're watching. Like, you seen the first Halloween from the 70s?
I'm uncultured.
Like with Michael Myers, the white mask and everything like that. Really? How have you not seen that movie?
I'm uncultured.
Have you guys seen that movie?
I know.
Please tell me you've seen this movie.
Obviously.
Okay, great. I'm glad you've seen it. So, in the movie, the babysitter, I think the first babysitter that gets killed, I think it's a sister. The sister that's watching the movie, she's watching another horror movie on the TV. Or I think, Jamie Lee Curtis's character is watching a horror movie. I can't believe I'm forgetting. One of the characters is watching a horror movie, like in reference to like the fact that they're in a horror movie. That's like a top, like a piece of postmodernist art.
Wow.
So is that meme where Spider-Man is pointing to the two other Spider-Mans?
That's postmodernist as well, yeah.
Then, so like the whole idea of we just live in a society.
Yeah, we live in a society and we're constantly bringing up the past.
Dang.
and how things used to be and how they are now. It's like,
So any historical film is postmodernist?
like a historical representation.
I'm talking like Fury or like Band of Brothers or like, those type of...
No, those are like, well, no, because you're telling a story. You're not like referencing anything. You're bringing up a story from the past. So it's not like, it technically like, no, it comes with a lot more in a more satirical kind of way. It doesn't come off as like I pray to God I'm saying this right, because if I'm wrong, I got to fact check myself. But like I don't think that's postmodernist.
Oh, okay.
Like when you're telling a story about something, it's not postmodernist. When you're referencing things, it's postmodernist.
So a good example, like the scary movies with Anna Faris in the early aughts, right?
Yeah, you can kind of say that too.
Yeah, like the disaster movie, not another teen movie.
Yeah, as bad as they are, they do like the whole shtick is that they're bringing up things that already exist and then making them into like a comedic thing. So
Yeah, there you go.
That's very interesting. And so when you say like it's done way too much, right? Like postmodernism has done way too much. Do you think it's because postmodernism has defined kind of, I guess, our pop culture for decades? So it's, people are like, oh, we can't do anything else?
well, it's a lot easier. It's easier to make a postmodernist story or a postmodernist piece of art than it is to come up with an original story, because either consciously or unconsciously you're going to be referencing something. Because like you can't come up with ideas unless you have something to base it on, right? Like you can't come up with like any idea at all has an origin point from something you've either seen in your past, witnessed in your past, or heard of in your past, whether you're conscious of it or not. That's how it functions,
Dang.
There's no such thing as an original concept, because that thing over the past 2,000 years has already happened. It's just a new idea being warped through years of knowledge being brought into your mind.
Well, kind of like just blew my mind.
John, I have a fun
Because like
question
you go first. You go first, Amani.
to Renee. Do you feel like there was a postmodernism in the medieval literature you were reading?
Oh, well, okay, pause. I'm like dumb. So
Right,
I'm
like-
low-key, we're following the postmodernism conversation, and maybe I just have like not an abstract brain, but I'm sitting here in my head and I'm like, do I know what that is?
Do you feel like your medieval workload in undergrad, do you think that authors were referencing authors from like the Hellenic era?
Yes. Like that was all of their inspiration, the foundation of their stories. I think also like even Canterbury Tales, like the stories that Chaucer tells, some of them came from Arabia. They came from like the Muslim Empire. So they were stories that were, quote unquote exotic to people in England. So they were included because it was something that like, this is new and exciting. It wasn't actually new. It was an old story. It was just different from what would have been commonplace within the context. Same thing with Boccaccio in the Decameron. A lot of the stories are about like, an Egyptian princess or a prince from somewhere in Africa. The stories were simply new and different to Europeans. Not that they were necessarily new.
That's interesting, because I remember I took a class in university of about they called it world literature, but it was actually just ancient Greek literature. And we read all of like, I guess, the Bibles of the ancient Greek world. So we read Hesiod, we read the Iliad, and we read the Odyssey, and we read the Oresteia. So we read all those 4 books in one semester, which is kind of like...
That's a
That's
lot.
a
insane.
lot.
That's
That's a
insane.
lot.
Yeah, we had to read all those 4 books in one semester. Got an A in it. But anyways, it was interesting because all of the stories were connected. So Hesiod Theogony, kind of think of that as the creation story, right? So that's, the Zeus, the Titans, XYZ. And Hesiod is kind of telling you how to be a good, servant to the gods. The Iliad, think of it as kind of the last age of the heroes. That's how I kind of was like, this is like kind of, there's really no parallel with Christianity, but it's just the last age of like, demigods,
Well, it's the Trojan War.
Yeah, the Trojan
Yeah.
War. And the Trojan War kind of sets the stage for the rest of Greece, because prior to the Trojan War, Greece, as we knew it, was very like, oh, it's very, not peaceful, but very like rich and wealthy from the Mycenaeans and all of this stuff. Then they go off because, this guy named Paris, T.Y. Bede, this guy, Menelaus's wife, and so that happened. And then you have the Odyssey, which is the aftermath of the Iliad. And then you have the Oresteia, which kind of takes place simultaneously from the Odyssey. But, the Odyssey takes, sees it as the retreat from Troy in Odysseus's viewpoint, while the Oresteia is from Agamemnon and his whole family's viewpoint. So, now I'm thinking, is this all just postmodernism, just referencing?
Honestly, yeah. You know what I will say, Amani? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the medieval writers, they did definitely take a lot of influence from the Greeks. And it was very important to like keep those classical ideas, because they definitely exalted that as like, the high point of human society. But also like being deeply conservative, deeply Catholic, they absolutely rejected like pagan ideology, belief, practices. So it was very much a like cherry picked version.
But being influenced versus making reference can be two different things. Because you could be reading a story from, medieval European literature that could seem in a similar manner to something they've read or that has existed for the last 1,000 years, but they don't make a reference to it. They just create a story that sounds similar to it. What I'm thinking of for postmodernists is that, like, imagine you're watching like a new TV show today, and then they make up like some crappy line. Let's say like the scene is it's set in a gym, like it's a comedy satire. They go into the gym, they see this guy lifting weights and go like, "Oh shit, look at him, he's ripped like Arnold." You're referencing something from the past directly. That's more like a modernist thing.
Oh.
Rather than like these original stories that, like, unless you've read the books that came before, then you wouldn't notice similarities in writing.
Interesting.
I think that's where the difference is.
Makes more sense.
What's really funny is about like ancient Greece is I remember watching this comedian who was kind of like arguing. He's like, what's really weird is like, I feel a lot of Northern and Western Europeans, they don't necessarily view Greece as like part of their fold, but they want ancient Greece in their column of like, these are the civilizations that, we, as Western Europeans wanted, because like you said, like ancient Greece was kind of, I would say, this may be a hot take, closer to like, the Levant and kind of like Arabian civilizations than it was to, let's say, England or France or even Spain to some regards. And so it was just really funny how a lot of people will be like, yeah, ancient Greece, the birthplace of Western civilization, and then, just completely culturally different.
There's a theory that the Romans came from the Trojans after the Trojan War.
Really?
Because after they lost, like the Trojan horse and all that stuff, there's the theory where they followed the path of the Trojans as they left.
Yeah.
Like from Greece and everywhere like that, and they landed in what would become Italy thousands of years later.
That's where the story of Romulus and Remus comes from.
They try to they connect that path all the way up to Romulus and Remus, the birth of Rome, that empire, and then eventually like modern day Italy.
It's really interesting because I heard like the Trojans, this was again in my university class, the Trojans became Carthage. That's what I learned. So it's really interesting. Like I'm not,
That sounds familiar.
But I'm not like, pushing back. I'm just, it's just really interesting because there is a whole idea that it was all figuratively, that the city of Troy didn't exist. But then my girlfriend, she's in anthropology, so she would be able to answer this question a lot more in detail. But some archaeologists found the remnants of Troy, and where Troy is a very geographically strategic area. And that cities were built. So, it was like a city was born, then a city was raised. A city was born on top of that, then it was raised. So, like, the city of Troy, the foundation of it was like 7 cities deep. And they found it and they're like, yeah, these parameters, meet what, the Iliad, which was written 2,000 years after the supposed Trojan War, so it's really interesting to see that. And I think that would be so much irony if the Roman Empire was from Troy. Because what's also really cool is I'm a history nerd, and I like to view periods of like transition. So like one time I was going like, what happened to the Spartans, right? Because you kind of see like, oh, the Spartans were these like super, like elite force, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, why didn't they like whoop the Romans' asses? Like, to be honest,
I can answer that for you, actually.
I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Spartans joined the Romans in conquering Greece. Or am I wrong?
I don't think so. I think what I saw a video online about it, that the reason why they just couldn't sustain themselves because of the highly militaristic lifestyle. Not every person, is like they would reject, like if you were genetically inferior or like you couldn't fight, they would, get abandoned, that kind of stuff. But it's just not a society that can feasibly survive when you're full on military all the time. So then your birth rate goes so low that like, what do you have left? There's nobody home. They're all serving in military time. So it's like, what else are you going to do? So then like that militaristic lifestyle just kind of died out slowly because it's like we can't sustain ourselves focusing solely on conquering everyone else.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I know, but I remember watching this history channel called Alternate History Hub, which now he's kind of like becoming more of just like a generic history channel. But I think you would like this, Amani, is that he spoke about the most interesting time in human history was the weird like 200 years of medieval knights meeting guns. Like how like this really weird time between like the end of the Renaissance and the beginning of like what we would consider kind of like, I guess, the colonial age, or like kind of like it was just like the colonial age. And how you had these medieval tactics of like huge spears and phalanx and like stabbing people, and then you having this knight on a horse freaking whipping out a sawed-off shotgun. And that was just a really funny period. I can just see myself like just laughing.
Wait, so can I ask, like, in your guys, like in your mind, if you could visit any like time and place in history, where would you go?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I feel like if I went back too far, I'd probably die.
Yeah.
Or you also have to like live with the fact that there's no plumbing.
Well, not if you go to ancient India. They got plumbing in there in the Indus River Valley.
No hand soap.
But you can't have everything.
Yeah, you can't have everything.
Amani, where are you going?
I'm going to the... Man, that's it. Oh my God, you're really throwing me for a loop. I want to go to ancient Greece. I know we just talked about it, so it's kind of trite. But I want to like be with Aristotle and all like the philosopher people, And I know that some like older sugar daddy will try to get with me, but I'll really do my best to keep my guard up. But no, I want to be with the philosophers and see how they did the first democracy and all that.
I'm going, wait, can I come back? Or do I have to, like, stay there?
Oh, you can definitely come back. You're there for, a week.
Oh, 100%. Library of Alexandria. I'm getting us all speed lining this timeline up to, like, 2300.
Nice.
Like,
No, you just sit there and you wait for the guy who's going to burn it down. You just knock the shit out of him.
Exactly, 110%. Don't worry, boys. Like,
Yeah.
I got you. Library of Alexandria is not being burned out.
I'd probably do the same thing, like, somewhere, like, ancient Europe, either like Rome, Greece, just like take in that life, see how everybody was, but like just try to get a sense of it. I don't know. Also because I'm Italian, so I'd like to go back further towards like in the Italian area, see how like it transitioned over that time period. So something like that.
Where you going?
See, I don't know. Because I actually really like modern era as a
nice.
woman,
It's kind of nice.
A black one. I think I will keep myself right here. But it's very interesting to read and to see how other people lived. If I would go anywhere, it would probably be somewhere within the continent of Africa, most likely. Ideally not around slavery era. So maybe either like very early world or like literally immediately after slavery is abolished.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay.
You know what's another interesting place I think would be really cool would be ancient Japan, or I think it's the Edo period of Japan, I'm not too specific, but like how they functioned as a society.
Was this before or after the feudal area?
This would be during the feudal.
Yeah. Okay.
Feudal era of like the shoguns and all of that, and just. I remember Joe Rogan speaking with a guy about this. It's like, imagine being like a Mongol, you land in Japan and you're ready to like, I'm going to fuck these people up. Like, yeah, you just see some random ass guy in like a freaking mask like coming out of the freaking, wheat fields with a bow and arrow. like I'm about to snipe you. Like, because, that period really formulated like Japanese identity, And I think another period would be, I would want to see the Mayans. It would be interesting to see a society that didn't have the wheel and how they functioned so well. Because, I think the Mayans, they didn't have the idea of the wheel that they used, like, they dragged stuff and all of that and how they built their whole civilization.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm if I remember my history correctly, is that, they didn't have a wheel.
Okay. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't say my favorite book, this is going, we've talked about this a lot. My favorite book is we are getting along like a ways away in the episode, but my favorite book, and surprisingly, this is one of the few where I've read the book and seen the movie, and so I get to compare the two of them. I read it in high school. I read Fight Club for the first time, the actual like novel, and I actually think the novels, they're very like the movie's great, but I think they cut out a couple of stuff. The novel's like a lot more graphic than they did in the movie, because obviously like it's a movie, they have to cut out a lot of parts of it. But because I'm also like a big like psycho thriller fan for like film and TV shows, where it's like you're trying to figure it out, like if it's all in their mind and like what's really happening, like this like character and like the progression of their mental state. I think that's really interesting. So that was like one of the few books where I was like, oh, this is actually like really good. It's very dark, and it's like if you really think about it, it gets to you, but it's actually like a really good story.
Oh, wow.
So I always thought that was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Shall we do the drinks?
Yes. Now that we've covered that, and I got to say my thing, let's go to the drinks that I made for everybody. Unfortunately, Amani will not be joining us.
He's with us in spirit.
I do not partake in the alcohol, but
In the sin of alcohol.
I will enjoy my sparkling black cherry drink. My water.
I think you're going to miss out, though.
Um,
It's going to be pretty good.
yeah. No.
So like you all know, I have a very bad habit. The reason why we start this late with the drinks is because I would get very thirsty and I would start drinking the adult beverage before it was time, and then I would be done by the time we would have to like actually start talking about it. So
Yeah.
this rule was developed because of my impatience.
Because you have no self-control.
Well, I'm thirsty. And I know alcohol makes you more thirsty.
Yeah, it does. All right, so partake. Please tell me what you guys think.
Enchanté.
Oh, salud.
This is dangerous.
This is liquor?
Yes.
That's a lie.
Thank you. You don't understand.
This is delicious. This tastes like sugar.
I'm glad you like it, but it is alcohol. So.
No, this tastes like juice. This tastes like juice. Dang. Is that postmodernism right there?
No,
Me referencing.
Unfortunately, it's not postmodernism.
No. This is really good.
Wait, no, this is actually like really good.
It's just good bartending, guys.
Yeah, John, he's my plug for all the good drinks. He makes a very good whiskey sour. He also has this really good drink about. Well, what was that? What was that last drink you did? It was amaretto and
It was
cherry cola.
It was amaretto and stale Diet Pepsi.
Oh, stale that damn.
It was the staleness that really made
Yeah.
it so good.
But no, that was...
Because he's like, oh man, it tastes even better that it's not carbonated. I'm like, that's not because.
No, but yeah, this is really good.
Please give a description for everybody.
Oh, I would say cranberry juice. Like the top notes are cranberry. I would say definitely smells coconut vibes. So I'm guessing some form of a coconut rum or a coconut base liquor. And gotta aerate it. Got it all around the tongue.
Oh God.
Coat it. There you go. I'm sorry. You told me what postmodernism is now, John.
You're just gonna be referencing everything
I'm just
from
gonna
now on?
be referencing everything now.
Great.
Yeah, I think I know what it is, but I gotta sip on it some more to really solidify.
You still got time. You got a
Yeah.
lot of time.
Yeah, my taste buds are as slow as I am. It just tastes delicious. I have no concept in mind. I'm like, this is nice.
All right. I'm glad you guys like it.
Do you believe in sommeliers? That should be.
Oh, those are the people who spend like 30 years training
Yeah.
to like taste wine and then like they can like smell it
Yeah.
and they know what it is.
Do you believe in that?
No, it's a scam.
You think it's a scam?
Guaranteed.
But if they guess it right,
I'm sorry, it's BS. It's half of it is just in the confidence. They're confident and they probably can like, tell like based a little bit like on the look of it, maybe like the viscosity. And like some people do have good taste buds, but I'm sorry, like have you ever been to a restaurant where they do it like in front of you, like they open
not
the bottle?
in front of me, but I have seen like videos of them like, oh, this is this wine is from.
Let me tell you, it's BS. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I don't believe this man knew what he was doing. I think he just looked the part. He was in a nice suit. He had the little white napkin. He showed us the label. He had all the hand movements. It still
he
tasted.
was like swishing it around in his mouth, like,
They let you taste it too. Like they give you a little sip so you can like confirm if it's like good or not before they give you the rest of the bottle. I'm sorry.
I have a work colleague that used to work at a restaurant like that, and he used to tell me the reason why they don't put the bottle on the table is because by putting the bottle on the table, it entails a commercial transaction. So if you open up the bottle and they give you the taste, like how does it taste? XYZ. You can go, oh, I don't like it, and they can go back and sell the bottle still because it wasn't a commercial transaction. But the minute that they put the bottle on the table, you're getting charged for it. There's no way out.
Oh.
Because they can't take that bottle back and resell it.
interesting. Would they tell you that or no?
Oh no, that's just like an insider thing. So that's why if you ever go to those, if you can recall that experience.
Yeah, I don't think he like held it up in his
Yeah.
arms, and they just show you. Really, they show you like the label, like the year, maybe like it's from Tuscany, it's from California, it's from New York, that type of stuff.
New York has very good wines, by the way. My sister went to the Finger Lakes region, and New York wines are very much slept on.
Have you ever tried a like wines that aren't like grape? Like you tried like apple wine or like cherry wine, anything like that?
I've had apple wine. I went to New Hampshire with my girlfriend, and thinking back to what we had apple sparkling wine. That was very good. She didn't like it.
Is it not just apple cider?
No.
No, it's like alcoholic like wine. Like it's wine, but it's like comes from an apple instead of a grape.
But apple cider can be alcoholic.
If you
This is a hot take.
Yeah.
This is a very hot take.
I'm feeling some type of way about apples
no,
making
but
wine.
imagine like having a champagne, but it's apple flavored.
Well, first of all, it's only champagne if it comes from the Champagne region in France.
Champagne.
Yeah. Anything else is Prosecco.
So what if we grew an apple tree in Champagne and then made...
Ooh.
You know what I want to try to do? I follow a bunch of YouTube channels where like they make like mead or like these different like fermented like they make alcoholics like alcoholic drink from like all over the world, but like by like fermenting like certain fruits and like leaves together in a jar. I actually want to try that.
I want to make mead. I know. I've never
Which
had mead.
supposedly is the oldest form of alcohol.
Yeah. My dad is a huge bourbon fan. He loves bourbon. That's, I guess, where my love for bourbon comes from. And we've always talked about doing like making bourbon, but you have to wait a minimum of 3 years. So you got to put it in a barrel and put it in a basement and just let it sit. And he's like, if we do a 20-year-old bourbon, I may not. Because, he's 63. He's like, we're rolling the dice, Mark. Like,
Also, wouldn't it suck if you wait 20 years and it comes out and it's just
that's
heinously
the risk.
disgusting?
That's the risk you take. That is literally the risk you take. That you open up and you're like, whoo-wee, I can't wait to drink this trash. Absolute garbage. Like, that is the risk you take. That's why a lot of bourbon houses, they are very, very concerned with the quality of water they take. They sometimes they even do the temperate climates. They have open windows so that the wind can actually somehow like affect the taste of the bourbon and everything. It's like, it's kind of crazy. It's like it's insane. Like my family, they're from Louisville, and so we went to go to the Willet Distillery. They truly believe that the seasons and the change of the seasons affects the taste of the bourbon. That the barrel expanding and contracting, if you get a bourbon from, let's say, like winter time, you'll have more of an oakier flavor because the barrel will contract versus a bourbon from the summertime where it expanded. And I'm kind of like, I just want to get drunk, bro. Like, you're telling me all this shit, like, my bottle's empty. My cup's empty.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So now moving on, we wanted to ask you, Renee, about because you work for Westchester County.
I do.
And so, like, what's your job like? Like, what's the entails and
stuff? Unfortunately, unlike Amani, my job's not interesting and intellectual. I am literally a public servant. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. Or no, it's not unfortunate. It has its perks. It has so many downsides, but you get to be nosy about local government and politics. So that's always fun. I do a lot of work with constituents, so like outside residents, but also a lot of things within like municipal offices, city hall type stuff. So if you ever want local government gossip, I'm your girl.
Is there anything crazy that ever happened in your constituency? Like, I'm just thinking of, do you live on Twitter?
Or you mean X?
X formerly known as Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember our friends plagued my timeline with the Capitol Hill tape.
Oh.
Anything happen like that?
I mean, okay, this is actually so... Okay, this might give me away, but I'm going to try my best. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, the building that I work in has the poorest security you have ever observed. It would actually be harder to sneak into a doctor's office than it would be to sneak into this building. And there have been several incidences of like random, usually people coming off of some type of drug or alcohol-induced state, just kind of wandering into the place, walking into maybe civil service, maybe sauntering around the recreation department.
That's insane.
And it's problematic because the people working in these offices are like usually old ladies who've been there since 1965. So, oh, wow. I mean, they could fight, but also, should they be allowed to? No. So there's one incident, a man who just kind of stumbled into the building, buck ass naked.
No
way. Hell yeah.
Buck ass naked?
And
no way.
Let me tell you.
Like cheeks out, everything?
Sir. I'm traumatized. I should honestly be, I should be given drugs for the things I saw on that day. But no, he stumbled in, and the reason he stumbled in is because there's no one at the door. You can just walk in, and of course it's a public building, so obviously the public is welcome to come anytime. But he's on something, mentally incapacitated, quite aggressive, and I believe the only benefit is that there was a police officer who was in the first level of the building. So he did hear the screaming, went upstairs, but he basically came into the building and started accusing the janitor of stealing his bag. Mind you, This man is naked.
I know
is
that
hard.
police officer was tight as shit. Like he's thinking like I'm about to be a badass. Like someone's trying to come in. Like I'm gonna. And
Let me
this
tell you
police
something.
officer's probably like, damn, I gotta deal with this butt ass naked
He,
man.
he was pissed. The worst part is, and this is actually to me the funniest part because I wasn't there. I'm like peering down the corner of the hall just because like I'm like this was definitely a safety issue. Didn't want to really get involved, but the police officer who intervened was sweet guy. This man's like 5 foot.
Oh.
This man's like 5 foot, and I'm bad at guessing weight. You know, maybe he weighs a little bit more than me. Actually, never mind. We're not going to talk about my weight. Regardless, this is a small man,
Dang.
and this is a large, rage roid fueled naked man. And I'm like,
Would we
imagine.
have it any other way?
Yeah, that's how he started off his Wednesday morning. Unfortunately,
This was recently.
this was, oh my gosh, this was in 2023. I think this is
Oh,
back
okay.
probably in like sometime in October. It wasn't snowing. It was definitely chilly. So I don't know how this man was naked.
It was like just getting into the fall weather
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, like that hoodie season.
Renee, how do they apprehend him? At that point, you were
When
checked
you have,
out.
look, all I heard was screaming. No shots were fired, but
That's probably the first thing you thought of.
that's, you know, I'm thinking
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like someone's gonna get like aggressively hurt. I do believe the cop had been able to like radio to other police officers because by the time they like got it all sorted, there was like 10 cops involved. So he probably like calmed him down. But before he could calm him down, this man was like gonna take it out on the janitor, like ready to commit acts of violence. And the poor janitor, mind you, the janitor is a huge guy. So it's just 2 huge men, one naked, and then the police officer is this guy down here
Damn.
with the actual authority.
That's kind of wild.
But yeah, that was one thing. Oh my gosh, what else? People constantly come in and they just want to fight. And I'm like, I get it. You hate the government. There's an agenda. Or I've been accused of having an agenda. I don't get paid enough.
Wait. So what did they say? Like, did they call you like you're some like leftist like George Soros?
Always.
Like,
because the thing is, like, regardless of like politics or whomever, like whatever the current presidential administration, whatever their beliefs are, that's gonna be what they accuse you of. So it's like, oh, you have an agenda. You're following this. You're a part of the system. You can't think for yourself.
you're the man.
Yes, essentially that. And it's like, sir, I am literally showed up. I just clocked in. I physically, I don't know what you want. Please. And half the time, it's like they have a water bill. And they couldn't find the office to pay that bill, so they're mad. But yeah.
Just be like, I hate this place. You don't know everything you know.
No.
Basically.
I just want a single issue candidate to just run and get rid of Easy Pass. I don't care. They could be a communist for all I care. The day that somebody just says, I'm going to run for whatever office, it could be dog catcher, and go, I'm going to get rid of Easy Pass. They have my vote.
Wait, what are your feelings towards Easy Pass?
I have a long-standing beef with Easy Pass.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Sounds
So basically,
Give me the cliff notes.
okay, Cliff Notes. I'm so surprised how no RICO charges have been brought against this company. Second is the fact that they give you a $50 fine for a $2 toll is insane. And the fact that all of these bridges have been paid for 30 times over, like not even like 2 times over, and they quote unquote go to the education fund. I'm like, buddy, I've seen the school computers at my local computer. Somebody's getting rich off of this. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I'm an expert in this, but Easy Pass needs to be taken a look at. Somebody needs to take a look at Easy Pass.
Have you contemplated just like not paying the fine?
They will remove your registration. So if you don't
They
pay the
actually?
fine, they will revoke your registration. You can't drive your car. And if you still don't pay the fine, they sell it to collections agencies. So I was asking me how I know this. They'll sell it to
like, what are the consequences?
They'll sell it to collections agencies, and you will be severely monetarily punished. Like, we didn't know about Easy Pass, so we got fined about $30,000. Like, my family.
Oh my god.
Are you
Yeah.
sure you want to talk about that?
No, but they don't know. Nobody knows, like, the last name details.
Okay.
So, and you know what? It needs to be said. It needs to be said.
It needs to be said.
Somebody
Okay.
has to step forward.
We're gonna bring them down.
Somebody needs to set up, because I have no problem with like the idea of like, look, somebody's got to pay the tolls. I'm not against paying tolls. I'm against a $2 Bear Mountain State Bridge toll. I get charged $52 if I miss an envelope in the mail. You know, it's insane. Like in an Easy Pass, for those who may not know, Easy Pass differs from state to state. So you may have Easy Pass across the East Coast, but you have Easy Pass New York, Easy Pass New Jersey, Easy Pass this. So let's say we're going to New Jersey, right, John? And I'm like, look, John, I need to borrow your Easy Pass. Your Easy Pass is registered to your license plate. So if I put it on my windshield to my license plate, New Jersey, the great state of New Jersey, is going to take the money from you, but still charge me because that Easy Pass doesn't match my license plate.
Scam.
It's a scam. I'm telling you, it's a scam. And I'm not saying like somebody's gonna be like, oh, just pay your debts, just pay your debts. It's like, dude, you know, yeah, pay your debts, but also like Easy Pass needs to be investigated. I don't even care if we win. I like just bring these people out of the shadows, because we have tried to call them. They only have one office in the entire state of New York. It's in Albany. They only have one office in the entire state. You're on hold for hours on end. They will just bill you with real no way of challenging the fines. Like, there's really no way. So that's why when people are like, oh, get rid of Easy Pass, it's like, don't get rid of your Easy Pass. Like, if you have Easy Pass and you're making on-time payments, please take it from me. Do not get rid of your Easy Pass. So I'm just saying, if somebody wants to get my vote, just come out and say I'm eradicating Easy Pass. That's it.
This is Orwellian.
Orwellian? I'm telling you, like, there's no way you can win. Like, there's no way. People have you seen videos of how to, like, avoid tolls?
Yeah.
Truckers have levers where they'll pull it and the toll plate will, like, go in.
Yeah, it'll cover their license plate.
Yeah. Or, like, people...
Really? Wait,
Yes.
I want one of those.
Those, but if you get caught by a trooper by that,
you're
game
done.
over.
You're
Oh,
done.
dang.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's goodbye your license, goodbye CDL, goodbye everything.
Damn,
Yeah.
okay.
There's another one where people use electrical tape where they'll like modify one letter in the whole, like, so let's say you have like a 4, you make it into an A with black electrical tape, and that gets caught. But again, if you get caught, you're done. Like, it's like a multi-$1,000 fine.
Damn.
Yeah, and troopers do look for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how they catch you is if you're going over every single day. Let's say you're going over the George Washington Bridge every single day. And every single time, this specific car with this specific VIN number, because yes, those cameras can catch your VIN number on your windshield, doesn't pay the taxes. All they got to do is look up the VIN number. You're done. You're done. They're going to, like,
so
pull up
it's
to
one of
your
those
house.
things where it's like you can only do it once in a while.
Yeah, like, it's clipped. And I'm just saying, somebody please, somebody just look at Easy Pass. And I don't care, I do care to a certain degree of political opinions, but by and large, if you're just running to eradicate Easy Pass, you got my vote.
Sounds like a good book expose.
Why don't you run at this point?
Why don't I run?
Yeah.
Because I'll lose. So or
You know what?
Easy Pass, big toll will assassinate me. That's what will happen, because I will run and I'll go, look,
Mark,
we're gonna
the change.
What
Be
we're
the
gonna do
change.
is I'm gonna run. I'm gonna look. I'm a single issue candidate. The minute that this bill passes, I'm done. So whoever my vice president or my runner up is, like, y'all can campaign on the actual issues. I'm here to just say, Easy Pass. We're gonna cap the amount owed on Easy Pass at $2,000. Executive order, and I just resign. That's it. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing.
You got my vote.
Thank you.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
Mm-hmm. You got mine.
Yeah.
That was impassioned.
But
You speak like a politician too. You've really got
You
it.
got the blazer?
In the
You got
hand
the
movement,
blazer?
I got-
blazer.
yeah, I got the blazer, the head movements. You know.
Yeah, just have a few affairs. You know.
Oh, yeah,
Steal
yeah,
some
yeah.
money, and you're set.
Yeah, it's like, just make a generous. I'm just asking for a generous contribution of at least $1 million. You know what I heard about political action committees? Is that, or not political action committees, donations to politicians? If the money goes unspent, they keep that money.
Yeah, the money's for them. They can do whatever they want.
No. But like, so for example, if like a politician raises $100 million, let's say, and they only spend $80 million, they keep a portion of that $20 million. So I'm like, bro, what? Give me my money back. They're like, there has to be some law or something where it's like you get a refund.
You could be the first to make that a law.
Like, I am so surprised.
Why would a politician legislate against that?
But they're just collecting free money, bro.
No, you're fighting for the people. You're fighting for the people.
Fighting for the people, my ass. You're taking my money.
You want more tax returns?
I need it now. Postmodernism.
This is going to be a thing with you now, isn't it? She's going to start referencing everything.
It's all right. John is going to be my running mate.
I will be your running mate.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So what's your point for running? He's got easy pass.
I'm just like the cool guy behind. I'm like the Dick Cheney, you know. You know.
We've got to get you a cool suit.
Yeah, cool suit, starting to bald.
A body.
Wait, you're gonna implement intense interrogation tactics against your opponents like Dick Cheney?
Absolutely, mental use of mental manipulation on everyone else to get my way and prove my point.
Do you just have to strap them to a chair and make them watch 25 seasons of South Park?
26 seasons.
26 seasons of South Park until they'll talk. They'll talk. Just like they're not allowed to go to sleep. They're watching South Park from season 1 to season 26. They'll talk by like season 20. They'll be like, please, I'm sick and tired of this.
No. What we have to do is that we have to take anybody who can debate better than I can. Like if they're like, let's say they're much smarter than me, we just have to make them watch every season of it, have their IQ level dumbed down by like 20 points, and then they won't be a problem anymore.
Here's my conspiracy about that. With like professional debaters like Ben Shapiro or Destiny and all that, I feel like they will just spit so like they data dump on you. Like that's it. Like they won't actually like debating. I feel like is you say your piece, I say my piece, and then we kind of try to, if we can, like reach a common ground or like. But
if it was ever that professional, which it's not.
But they will just data dump. They'll be like, or
whoever gets more emotional and just starts attacking the other person.
Yeah, it gets so personal.
Yeah, because they're getting frustrated and they know they're losing, so then they get emotional about it.
No, I know that.
Put some eye drops in before you start, just like to make it look even more emotional.
No, I remember watching this video. I think it was by Vice News. I said, like, why are presidential debates so, like, toxic now? And it's because of there was this sudden change in the way that moderators ran. So it used to be you spoke to the moderators. So you could not talk to your opponent. It would be like you have to speak directly to the moderator, and that's the only person you can talk to. But now is the moderators to get views, because everything is a view driven, is, Donald Trump said this about you. How are you going to respond? And they just
But watching Donald Trump debate is so entertaining, though.
Oh, it's
literally.
It's the best thing ever.
Everyone, even if you don't like him, you want to watch that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Shane? Well, what's his?
Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis do like his. Do you know who Shane Gillis is?
No, enlighten me.
So he's this comedian that does like a scary good impression of Donald Trump. Like it's like he sounds more like Donald Trump than Donald Trump himself, and he would be like, Donald Trump is so insane because if you go back to 2016, I remember just watching the debates. This man literally doxed somebody. He was like, Lindsey Graham,
Wait, do the hands.
Yeah, it's like Lindsey Graham, said I'm a cancer on conservatism. Let's give Lindsey a call, and just doxes him, just straight up. Or it's like, he was talking about Ted Cruz. It's like, Ted Cruz is like, we need to balance the budget and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, your wife is ugly. Straight up, like your wife is ugly like a dog, and I'm pretty sure your dad killed John F. Kennedy. Like he actually said that shit, like 100%. Like actually.
The thing is, I'm like, who else could get on national television and get away with that.
Yeah, like,
Who?
yeah, it's like your wife, and then Ted Cruz is like, you know, we don't speak about a man's wife. It's like your wife's ugly. She's a dog.
How do you come back from that? Because like, what?
It's like,
If I was Ted Cruz's wife, I'd be like, you're a bitch.
no, and it's so crazy. Or it's like how he just bullied Jeb Bush. Literally just bullied this man.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be like, Jeb, low energy Jeb, people fall asleep at you. And like, he holds, like, I was watching Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan's a comedian. He's like, Donald Trump, you could tell Donald Trump takes a lot of inspiration in the way he speaks from comedians, because he'll hold lines. Like, I'm not a comedian, so I don't know like how it 100% works. But it's like a comedian, if they sense like there's something really funny or something's funny, they will allow the laugh
They're
to
timing.
play out. Yeah, so
They're
Donald
timing.
Trump will like...
Oh, there's like that pause
Yes.
in between.
Yeah, where they're not... And that only comes through talent. Like, he was like, that only comes when you know the audience or you know like how the joke is supposed to play out. So it's like, you know, because politicians will speak and then will interrupt the silence, or like, you know, when applause are happening, they'll speak too soon. So Donald Trump will just like hold the laughter or hold the line and be like, you know, you're a bitch. It's just, that's, you know, it's crazy. And, you know, I saw this thing on Twitter that this man owes like $500 million.
Wait, didn't he just... I feel like every time I check the news, I see some huge 3-digit $1 million amount he has to pay.
That man's not paying shit, bro.
He's not gonna
That's
pay
what
that
I'm
shit.
like.
No, there's another one that just happened where he has to pay that shit off. No, it was for what, the fraud stuff?
Oh,
or...
like inflating. I think it's something with the inflating value, because like he he launched a sneaker brand.
Did he
I
really?
saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, he launched like, okay, you know,
was like Trump
retro, like how retro Jordans look.
Yeah.
It's basically that, just all gold, and on the tongue of the shoe is just a big T. That's literally it, and it's like,
Why?
I'm gonna Google this real quick.
yeah,
Hold up.
Google it, and people have started a GoFundMe page for Donald Trump.
Yes.
And it's just so funny because it's like somebody on Twitter was like, bro, I bet you $1 somebody is just like pocketing this money. It's not even going to Donald Trump.
Guaranteed.
It's like GoFundMe for Donald
That's
Trump.
capitalism at its best. Someone's just taking advantage.
But like, it's like somebody just posted a picture
Yep.
of Donald Trump and said, oh, help me, $350 million.
Oh my gosh.
So, what to know? There's an article on NPR called "What to Know About the Debut of Trump's $399 golden high top sneaker."
Not the high top.
Please let us see the photo.
They're kind of fire, not gonna lie. Like political wise,
Wait.
not gonna lie.
They're $350 million.
$399 per pair.
You know, that's cheaper than I thought.
They're cheaper than Jordan. They're
Yeah,
cheaper
that's
than
what
Air
I said.
Jordans.
They literally, okay, these literally look like Nike Air Forces, to be honest. I feel like he just bought a bunch of Nike Air Forces, and
Yeah, it doesn't look very original. It has a flag and then the T, and that's kind of it
It's
in the
giving
color.
Captain America.
With gold in it.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
how do y'all feel about going to a Trump rally now and everyone's wearing the high top Jordans?
it's so weird. I feel like,
Just band together with the sneakers.
yeah, like, I don't know. I remember just seeing like Trump rallies where like okay, I feel like 2016 Trump, in terms of entertainment value, was a lot more entertaining than Trump today. Because I feel like Trump today,
They
like,
haven't
it's-
let him debate.
like, he did well.
He's tired.
Yeah, he's tired, but also B is like, I feel like he has to run, because if he doesn't run, if he doesn't win, he's so fucked.
People
He is-
want this
Yeah.
rematch. They want the Biden and Trump rematch to happen. So I feel like it's gonna happen anyway at this point.
What's really funny is, and this is again another Shane Gillis thing, so I'm not stealing, giving credit, is if anybody could beat Trump, it is Biden. And the reason why it is Biden, and this is what Shane Gillis was arguing, was Trump's whole like MO is, I'm gonna get in your head, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, it's mental warfare. It's all mental warfare. It's like, you can't get into Biden's head because he's not even there, bro. It's like, he was like, Shane Gillis was like, oh, you know, on the debates, right? You're seeing Trump is like, yeah, Biden, you know, he's with China, he's with Ukraine, and you just hear Biden like, what? You know, like, or it's like Biden is, you know, just like, yeah, It's just funny. But apparently, people are upset, or a lot of people in the White House are upset that Joe Biden is being like labeled as a grandpa. I think that's to his advantage. Like, imagine he goes, "Yeah, I'm the cool grandpa."
Is he not also a grandfather? Like, actually?
Well, he is actually a grandpa,
Yeah.
but like they're kind of like saying he's just like an old elderly man, like who forgets.
They,
blah blah blah.
they both are.
Yeah,
Are they not both?
Yeah, they're both like almost the same age.
Age.
And also, Trump has his own like farces in his like Trump rallies. Like he mistook Nancy Pelosi for excuse me, I'm blanking on the name.
Nikki Haley.
For Nikki Haley.
Haley,
Yeah,
yeah.
like really bold mistake.
But I feel like people will accept that because Trump just goes off the mic all the time.
That's
like
right.
like it's so crazy how this man can just spit on a mic. Like he'll come up to a press conference like, ooh, shake the jacket off, brush off the shoulders, and speak cold for 50 minutes. And I'm like, and it's like, how many of us could do that? Like, imagine for a second, like,
That's
you had to
true.
give a press conference, or you gotta like give some world breaking news, and you just come out and all you have to say is like X, Y, and Z. But this man will go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and just talk about random ass shit. It's kind of insane.
So Renee, I think you were mentioning earlier that there are some insiders in your county that are betting on who's going to win.
Oh, yes. Okay. You didn't hear this from me, but
We have an insider scoop on our podcast.
a little bit.
way.
A little bit.
This is kind of breaking news,
Oh
guys.
my.
So, fresh off the press, Westchester County, won't tell you what municipality, but people are saying Trump is going to win. How do we know this? So, essentially, cities get a lot of their money, not only through taxes, but through grants. And grants come from federal funding. So, grant funding can cover anything from police department, fire department, parks and recreation, buildings, all that type of stuff. And essentially, when there's a more liberal administration federally, certain programs get a lot more federal funding. And right now, the municipality I work for is really heavily focused on getting funding for parks, elderly people, social service focused initiatives, and essentially the indication is that federal money won't be there when Trump is president in 2024. So a lot of people are under the impression that Biden's not going to win, and the city's preparing for that.
But in your experience, is this money like for 4 years? So they're like kind of like stockpiling now for 4 years, or are they gonna only like, all right, we got to just get to the midterms and then see how the midterms play out, like that kind of thing?
It really depends on each specific grant. I don't work very closely with grants. I do know that grants, the application process alone can take months.
Oh wow.
And so even then, once you complete the application, you have a really long journey of hearing back and forth from the federal government, also state governments, to figure out if you even filled out the application correctly. And then once you get the go-ahead of they received your application, you filled it out correctly, then you have the back and forth of actually getting the money. And a lot of times, federal government requires you to have a certain amount of money on hand before they will even give you the grant if you receive the grant.
Oh,
So
really?
say you get, $300,000 for the fire department so the firemen can get new equipment. They may say you have to be able to match $100,000 in a specific budget line for the fire department before we will even release these funds. So in a lot of ways, the grant money is not a promise. It's not a given. It's a lot of work. But $300,000 for a grant is that can really change a lot in a city. So
Wow.
if you're concerned about that money not being there, you're absolutely going to do everything in your power to try and get it before, it evaporates.
Because the alternative is what, I guess, just raising taxes, like that. Yeah, that's
Essentially.
the alternative. And nobody likes, nobody likes paying taxes.
No. But yeah, the way things are looking, federal funding for a lot of programs or specific programs is not going to be there this time next year.
Well, let's
That's
wait
interesting.
till the presidential debates in the fall. Let's see. 'Cause
If they do debate, because we've talked about this before, that they're trying to do like a non-debate, like they won't
Yeah.
show up to debate at all.
Yeah, there's rumors. We spoke about this on a previous episode. There are rumors that within the Biden circle that they're going to refuse to debate Trump. That they're like,
Really?
So the idea is that this election is not so much on new ideas, it's a referendum on Biden, right? And there's such a small pool of truly undecided voters that it's really on who can just turn out their base more. It's really like how political scientists are kind of portraying this, is that Trump has a high floor, low ceiling, while Biden has a low floor and a high ceiling. So it's really on who can energize their base more to bring out the base on election day. So Biden is kind of seeing like, well, it's really no use to debate Trump because there are, if you just ask anyone in America, behind closed doors or behind, the mic, they're going to have their opinions on, who we're going to support. But, so their minds are already made up because we saw what Trump did as president. We saw what Biden did as president, or what he's doing as president. So we either agree or disagree. So that's what's going to happen, And so there's rumors that there's not going to be a debate.
I really wonder, though, if that's even to Biden's benefit, because I feel like that could be such like a playground for Trump to get on TV and talk about how his opponent is too tired to even bother, debating with him.
Well, that's the thing. And then there's another argument is, this is going to sound really fucking terrible, but do Biden voters, by and large, care? Right? Like, think about it. Like, if Biden can just, because a lot of people in the Trump circle or who support Trump go like, oh, Trump is going to demolish Biden. He's going to demolish Biden, blah, 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 blah. But they're also, like, this segment of the Republican Party is also forgetting that Trump is such a polarizing figure that all the people who would sit out to vote, because low voter turnout generally helps Republicans, see Trump on the ballot, they're going to come out. They may not even care who, is the Democratic nominee. They just go, I don't want Trump, And so I'm going to vote for Biden. So some people in Biden's circle are even like, doesn't even matter, like, this is where it comes down to. It's like, we're not in the business of convincing Republicans who will support Trump that we are the better alternative. We're just concerned with going to our base and talking to our base and making sure they come out to vote, because if they sit at home, Trump's base is already energized because, they've been out of power for 4 years. So they, obviously want to come back. They're going to get their base to come out. We have to get our base to come out. So that's kind of like the whole idea.
I do wonder how things will change once we have a clear running mate for Trump.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're thinking. I'm honestly assuming it's going to end up being Nikki Haley. I might be wrong, but I do wonder how that might change the way voters feel.
Oh, no, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he is going to have... I remember seeing a short list. It's kind of fucking crazy because, I don't know, do you all know who Tulsi Gabbard is? Oh, yeah. It's just kind of crazy that she's on there. But some people... And look, this is what I think. Is that if I was Trump and I'm truly paranoid about everyone coming after me, and they did this in 2020, they get Ivanka.
Ivanka? Really, you think?
Well, I don't know if I think, but like I could definitely see it. Just think about it for a second, right? It's like the establishment is after him. Everyone's after him, right? Like the idea of the deep state is after him. Senate GOP leadership is divided. The House is a clusterfuck, So Ivanka has an internal... She had an informal role as an advisor for his campaign for 4 years. She is his daughter. She's the most likable of all of the children of Trump. She's the most rehearsed in the sense of she knows how to just read a teleprompter. And, so behind closed doors, he could be like, you know, if Ivanka were to run as my running mate, you know, there you go.
You've stumped me. I didn't even think that was an option.
And think about it. Trump, let's say he wins. Let's say, for argument's sake, he wins. 2024 rolls around. Or no, 2028 rolls around. He's term limited. Regardless, he's term limited. He's done. He goes, oh, who's gonna carry the mantle? Bang, Ivanka. And then there you go. And you know, you have all you have a woman, because you know that is important. You have a woman who, you know, is very smart. All this stuff, you know, whether you agree with her or not, that's, you know, it's just optics, right? It's optics. And, you know, a party that struggled with, you know, abortion, or, you know, with getting suburban women out to vote. You get Ivanka with her 2 little kids and, you know, her husband out, you know, oh, look at us, we're the happy, perfect family, you know. Top of that, they're, you know, I'm really about to sound crazy, but, you know, they're also Jewish, so.
I was just thinking, you know, that.
I
was like, I
know that sounds crazy. I know.
It's
people are going to be like,
true.
oh, here we go. But, like, you know, Jewish, that's also big on optics.
That's a way to get a base of people to feel like, you know, they're really being represented.
Yeah. So, you know, but however, will the party accept that? Because also you got to think of, well, you know, the RNC wants a seat at the table in the administration, and if they feel like they're being pushed out, you know, you can't piss them off too much. You can piss them off to a certain degree, you know. But that's my take, is if I was Trump, I'm sitting behind closed doors. I'm thinking everybody's coming after me.
I think I'm still expecting Nikki Haley to be his running mate. I don't know if that's certain.
I don't know if Nikki Haley would want to be his running mate.
Also, I think Ron DeSantis is on his list for like potential VPs.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. DeSantimony.
No, my favorite was Meatball Ron.
No, I saw the article that like Vivek
Ramaswamy.
Yes.
Excuse me, because he's the only guy who could like out Trump. Like, have you seen how deranged he kind of got towards the end of his campaign? He was like, deep state, QAnon, baby. Like, he was going too far.
He's gonna come back.
Yeah.
And if I think give him a decade, we are gonna see him again.
I Amani is like, damn it. Like, no, I know but you know how Trump, again, like mental warfare, he got into DeSantis's head. He got into DeSantis's head so much because I remember reading a Politico article that Trump got all of former DeSantis' head, because DeSantis actually made a lot of enemies in Florida, because, you know, I kind of saw him similar to Cuomo. Like, if you have like a top-down approach, you're just bound to make enemies. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he's really sensitive about his height. Like really sensitive about his height, because that's where he wears a lot of like heeled boots. Have you ever heard of the term bootgate?
No.
So, side note, DeSantis would always wear like cowboy boots.
I've seen those pictures.
And he's like, oh yeah, I'm like 6 feet. And yeah, he looks 6 feet. But people are like, but wait, they pulled up his wedding photos like from 20 years ago. And they're like, why is your wife taller than you? You know, they're pulling up all these photos and he just never addressed them. So they said bootgate. And then the second is he's very sensitive about his weight. Like, he's not as big as Chris Christie, but he's just very sensitive about his weight. So all these former DeSantis advisors come to Trump and they're like, hit him on his weight, hit him on his height. Like, it's just going to get into his mind. So that's why he said Meatball Ron. And, you know, that's why it's all mental warfare. It's all mental warfare.
Mark, I feel like you're looking forward to this next year campaign.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm just here for the freaking meltdown.
You're here for the memes.
I'm literally just here for the memes. That's really it. Like, my job is just so... Like, I love my job, but it can be boring sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I'll just, like... That's why I said I don't read. I read. Like I read, like, lowercase r news articles and all that, but I don't read, if you feel me.
Speaking of memes and controversy, not to change the subject too much, but I saw the latest Marvel superhero movie, Madam Web, over the weekend.
Wait, there's a new Marvel movie?
Whoa.
You didn't see the trailer? You didn't see this? The Madam Web one with Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney.
Am I?
Wait, are you serious? This was like heavily marketed. You didn't see this?
Very much so.
Dude, when I tell you I live on YouTube, and I haven't seen any ad.
No, really?
I'm 100% like. So wait, what is this movie
I'm
about?
not even on Twitter.
Not even on Twitter.
I'm
Formerly known
No,
as Twitter.
my whole X, formerly known as Twitter, trend is trending with Bobby Altov. I don't know if you
the
heard
leaked AI shit. Yeah.
Somebody leaked a bunch of AI photos of Bobby Altov. But anyways, continue about this Marvel.
I'm so tempted to pause this episode and show you a trailer. I'm quite sad you haven't been on this roller coaster.
Is it a good movie?
Oh, that's no.
Just no. No, it's not.
It's so bad, Mark. It's good.
Oh my! So it's like Sharknado.
It gets Batman and Robin levels.
It's like entertainingly bad.
Yes, it's camp.
But
Camp.
was it like purposely made bad, or was it like no? They actually made this.
No. I have a hot take. It's not even a hot take. You watch the movie, and this will be your take. So, at a certain point, the actors, after they read the script and they started shooting, they realized they were in a bad movie. So,
but that Disney money.
That money, and they just started acting hammy. Like,
oh my
they everything, like, if you know Anna Faris from Scary Movie, like, that level of act, that was the entire movie. Dakota Johnson was out here, like every line reading was like, yeah, this is supposed to be serious, but it's funny. It's all funny. Yeah.
Damn. Marvel, again, I'm not a Marvel fan, and I've said this plenty before on our podcast. And I will say this as clearly as possible. That franchise needs to stop. Like, just have a year pause. A year pause, 2 year pause. Everybody, like, they go back to the drawing board. What is going on? And then come back.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially because after Endgame, they started pushing more diverse characters and more female representation, which is great. But they also dropped the ball on quality at the exact same time.
Yeah. And unfortunately, people are going to, kind of like try to pull those two together as like why Marvel went down. I just think Marvel ran out of story. And we have a really good friend, and you know who I'm talking about, who's like a Marvel head. Like, he says the same thing. He's like, the fact that you have to watch a show to understand what's going on into a movie, to understand what's going on in the next show, is too much. Like, that is too much for the average moviegoer to wrap their head around. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not watching 10 episodes of a show on Disney Plus to understand what's going on in a movie. Maybe I'm lazy. Are you into the Marvel universe?
I'm a whore for the Marvel universe.
So you need to get in this conversation.
I do agree, though. I think just steadily, honestly, do I even think a good film has been made since Iron Man 1?
Ooh.
I really
Damn.
love.
I was like, that's deep.
And that's so far back. But I'm sorry, like, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He embodied it. It was such great casting. It was such great writing. And even though, like, mind you, it's like 2008, chef's kiss, just so good. And I've seen all of the films. I've watched the TV shows. Even my parents watch them. Like, we are a family who will sit there and watch them in chronological order in preparation for the movies. And it's just like, I enjoy them for the sake of the entertainment value. Like, regardless of whether or not they're bad, good or bad, I will enjoy it for what it is. But I have yet to actually sit down and watch a Marvel film in years where, how do I explain this? Like, these movies ask you to suspend your disbelief, to enter this universe, appreciate what's going on, and then be able to follow the plot line. And they're taking you to a point where you can no longer suspend your disbelief. It's so nonsensical. There's no continuity. There's not even... It sounds like they got a group of 15 people who each wrote one line and then took turns deciding what they thought the next line should be. There is no central focus. And I feel like after Endgame, and mind you, I'm being dramatic. I enjoyed Endgame.
No, be
stories.
dramatic.
Like Thor. All of that. Although I did hate Loki's TV show. But anyway,
You want to say that a little bit louder?
It was shit. Sorry. It had its moments. It was a very interesting, unique idea. But anyway, moving on. I think and I don't know how they've gone what their direction is now between directors, producers, story writers, it does not seem that there is a central agreement as to what's going on. Too many people are being told that their ideas are great. And, and I think more people need to be told, no, that's terrible. It doesn't work. I really think it takes the viewer out of the universe. You're already being asked to believe in so much. It's fantasy. It's all fantasy. So you're already putting yourself through a lot to engage and enjoy with the film. They've gone too far.
What's the most egregious example of this?
I did have problems with Iron Man 3. I won't lie.
Oh, wow.
I did.
No, wait, but post Endgame. Post
Endgame. Which Guardians of the Galaxy was it?
The third one.
The third one.
Oh, really? I was about to say, I thought, our friend and I agree that he was saying the best trilogy of the entire Marvel's universe is Guardians of the Galaxy.
They have the best soundtrack.
Well, no, he's talking about storyline, like the best trilogy of the Marvel universe, because he's like, the only silver lining of this post-Endgame world was Guardians.
Wait,
like, they
That's
were
true.
by far the best movie of all of the post-Endgames. Like, James Gunn, right? It was James Gunn.
Now, Mark, Renee's going to set you
Yeah.
straight. Renee, what was wrong
Yeah.
with that movie?
No, I mean...
I cried during that movie, to be honest.
You know what? And I think this is the other thing with Marvel part of the reason I really enjoy it is they do really great character development within the team dynamic. So when characters like Gamora die, you feel that.
Like,
you feel like you lost your best friend, the love of your life, your daughter. You feel like you were Thanos, killing your child.
Yeah.
You know, to gain this ultimate exalted power. And so, do I believe that a serious emotional attachment can be developed? Yes. Like, that is what your friend is feeling.
Yeah.
He's incorrect. But his feelings are valid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
The thing is, I do love Guardians. I think there are just so many great things. I do believe at the end of the day, for all the issues Marvel has, for entertainment value, for character development, for just the purposes of engaging their audience, it does not matter to me how terrible all the other stuff is, because I think it ends up being worth it.
Oh, wow. That's a hot take.
I do think it ends up being worth it. I think that also, just like from a monetary standpoint, they're making so much money. They're spending a lot of money too.
But do you think that, and this is coming from somebody like outside of Marvel, do you think that at some point, like, the fan base is just going to become insulted? Like you're turning out this...
The turnover is so quick. My dad is almost 70 years old, talking about how he's seen, read Iron Man in the comic books, watched it in the films, and now you have probably kids who've never actually seen the original comic books, but they're seeing newer versions. They're now seeing the movies. They're seeing like the new generation. How is it going to change? And so they're simply, especially with like added diversity, there are far more female characters of color. They're simply going to make the characters relatable to the current generation. And so while perhaps the older generation is going to get offended and say, oh, this is, like the bastardized version of what I grew up with, they still have the old character. The new generation has the new character. I feel like Marvel has, if anything, expanded from like nerdy guy to mainstream. They've made it accessible to so many, which mind you, original fans may feel some type of way, because now it's not just catered to them, but in the grand scheme of things,
when they realized how much money they can make off of the nerds, that's what made it mainstream.
Or when the nerds grew up and got corporate offices and said, yeah, we're willing to dish out all this money.
I
have a question for all of you. How do we fix superhero fatigue? So people are saying that's invading the genre.
Better writing.
Yeah, honestly, I agree.
I'm gonna jump right into that, where it's like, just stop the jokes. You're terrible at it. Stop it. It's not funny. Not every fan of the show is under the age of 11. Just because my thoughts on that, I think when the first Avengers movie came out, that was like Joss Whedon's writing style, was including just jokes in literally everything he did. Like all of his movies are like that. He just got lucky in the first movie that his script actually worked out the way that it did, because he also wrote for the second one, which did very poorly. And then I think, he didn't write anything else after that. But that just like became the norm for all of the MCU after the fact, like that writing style, not realizing that's just Joss Whedon writing shit for children. So now that became like, because then they realized like, wait, we just made like $1 billion. Let's just copy this and include it in everything that we do.
Like copy paste.
But it also ruins your, like, if done well, yeah. But critically, for the remaining products that come after the fact, it's never as good because Joss Whedon's not the one writing it. And even when he didn't do good all the time. He just got lucky with the first one, and then they realized how much money they're making off of it. So I want them personally to stop joking. If they are going to make a joke or like something here, do it well, please. It's not that hard, but they make like we're not all stupid. We're not all like preteens that laugh at anything.
Can I just ask your opinion since you bring that up? Did you see The Marvels?
I did not. I heard it was bad.
There's a scene where Miss Marvel goes to visit her. Wait, can I spoil it for you a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not going to see it. Go right ahead.
She goes to visit her like space husband in a planet where people communicate via song. And
great.
for about 10 full minutes, you just have Marvel characters just singing at each other. It becomes essentially like a musical.
Oh, great.
And I was like, when you asked, you were like, what was, or maybe Amani asked, like, what was like a key example of like something like you really hated? And I'm like, I'm sorry, this is a superhero film. And if it's supposed to be about like female empowerment and women like fighting battles, why are we singing on a random island or random planet somewhere for 10 minutes? That took me out.
It's like that like cringy shit that like it adds nothing. It adds nothing to the story, adds nothing to the development. You just like, you think you're trying to be hip and funny with like adding all this bullshit for kids to laugh to.
12-year-olds definitely loved it.
Yeah, like the little kids that don't give a shit and they're just like, oh, the pretty lights and the lasers. Yeah. But the rest, your critics will take away. I'll take away points for that if I'm criticizing you. Like it has nothing to the. It doesn't add anything. You're just trying to be funny. Yeah. Stop trying to be funny. Like it only worked out once.
That especially goes for Madam Web too. But not to shift gears a little bit, but everything you're saying is about under Kevin Feige's production company with Disney. But no, Sony produced Madam Web, and they produced Venom, Venom 2, Morbius, and the upcoming Kraven. And Sony is especially agreed. Like every qualm you have with like what Kevin Feige's doing. So I don't know how many people here have seen, Venom. Made a lot of money. Very, very funny movie. Very, very good.
Morbius was terrible.
But then they had Morbius, right? And then Morbius just
it was rushed.
It was rushed. They just
got great memes out of it.
Listen, that's all you could get out of that movie. And then that didn't do that well. Actually, it didn't do that bad at the box office, but did horrible critically. No, but this movie did horribly critically and in the box office. So, and then we have Kraven, so let's see where things are going. So my question is, because here's the thing, we're going to have Kraven, then they're going to do another solo, obscure Spider-Man character movie. Should Disney just buy the rights to Spider-Man? Just
they won't sell.
Sony won't sell.
Sony will not sell. Did you know that in the early 90s, like maybe like mid to late 90s, Sony had the chance to buy all of Marvel's catalog?
Oh, I know.
They could have had Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, everybody. But they, at the time, because obviously like superhero movies weren't a big thing, they were like, nobody cares about any of these characters except for Spider-Man. We only want Spider-Man. And they are never going to let Spider-Man go. They're like, no, we're not going to do it.
Disney would have to give out maybe like their entire bank account.
They realize their mistake and they're like, we're not giving up Spider-Man.
Yeah. I think that we just need to take a pause. Just hit the pause button on the superhero industrial complex. And let people have just a break from the Marvel DC cinematic machine. Just let it, like, here's the thing. People like a good story. Like, that's the thing. Like, people like a story. This is going to be a hot take. Every single new Star Wars movie has been kind of bad, except for one. And this is my own opinion. Rogue One.
Agreed.
Rogue
Thank
One
you.
was an amazing movie. Why? Because it wasn't central to a plot. It wasn't central. It was a good story. Because in the original Star Wars movie of A New Hope, they come in, everybody just got their asses whooped by Darth Vader. And they come in and they go, these are the plans to the Death Star. And they go, how did you get it? Long story. And then the plot just keeps moving. The Rogue One, that was their story of how they got plans to Death Star. And everyone dies, unfortunately. Spoiler alert. But, that was the only, I think, critically acclaimed movie ever.
It was a
Yes.
sub-story told very well.
Yes. And so I'm like, if they can do that with Marvel movies, or like just like you said, just good writing, or just take a pause and then maybe come back and do, like, I don't know. I'm just thinking of, like, just off the bat, take a year off, Disney and Sony. Rewatch your whole franchise and see where is there, like, just a plot hole that you can just make a standalone one-off movie from. And then boom.
Well, what's on the opposite side is that you have more, like, edgier superhero stuff, like Invincible or The Boys, that does very well, being completely opposite of Marvel and DC, because they go down, like, the kid-friendly route. They know where the money is, but it's overdone to the point where, like, people want something else, and then they see, like, these dark, like, violent, gritty stuff that could be considered a little bit more realistic in a sense than the always, like, happy-go-lucky superhero that does cringy shit half the time. So maybe if they do, like, what you're saying, like, they take time off, just change it up a little bit. You don't have to, like, completely drop everything you're doing, but just realize the direction you're going in, stop yourself, and just bring it back a little bit.
Logan was such a good movie. Did you see Logan?
It was, yes.
Logan was such. I know you have your opinions about Hugh Jackman coming back and
Patrick Stewart. They both came back.
Wait, Patrick Stewart's back?
He came back for the Doctor Strange sequel.
Bruh.
Yeah.
No, because, like, both of them said we're not going to reprise our roles because Logan meant so much to this, like, universe and to these, like, this timeline, the end of these characters, that they're like, we don't want to play them again out of respect. And then Marvel came in, wrote them a blank check, and said, you're coming back.
I think
You're
therein
coming
lies
back.
the issue. They want to keep resurrecting things from the dead. It's the same thing.
They have so much money, they can just pay them anything to bring them back. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
A good story needs to die at some point, and I think for the sake of money, they want to keep it going.
At The Walking Dead.
Didn't they just finish?
I don't know. I just know that show.
No.
went on
I think
for way
season
too
11
long.
was the last season.
Wait, don't you guys
And
know
now-
there are 3 spin-off shows happening right now? Sequel spin-off
They're doing
shows for The
another
Walking
one.
Dead?
They're doing another one specifically for Andrew Lincoln, like Rick Grimes' character.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought he died.
No, he was flown away in a helicopter to do his own. He's on his, like, a spin-off thing on his own now.
Yes, there's the one with him and Michonne. There's the one with Daryl Dixon in Paris, and then there's the one they're finishing the prequel TV show. It's complicated, but
That show needed to end. Not to change it too much. I just know, like, when you were saying, like, a good story needs to die.
Yeah.
At The Walking Dead, like, that show needed to die 6 seasons ago. Like,
yeah, no, I think Hollywood's learning that lesson. I think they're seeing some of the most highest performing genres now are musical biopics, video game adaptations.
Last of Us.
Yeah, Mario. Yeah, they're gonna greenlight a Zelda, and the other one I think like maybe IP.
Wait, they're greenlighting a Zelda project?
Yeah,
for
they
movie
are.
or TV show?
Oh, Nintendo's about to bankroll.
Movie,
They're greenlighting
movie.
their movie. They're
Like kid friendly?
Yeah.
Or they're going down, like, the Super Mario Brothers route, like that movie?
I
No,
think
not with Zelda. Zelda's
details
really
are early. They're
Yeah.
scarce so far, but like even the God of War video game, they're making a TV shot at that. Like it's crazy.
That's gonna be a good show. I've got a War.
On which streaming service?
HBO.
Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's gonna be graphic.
Fuck!
You were hoping HBO. I know
Yes.
you were hoping HBO. HBO was like, damn it, maybe Amazon will go bankrupt trying to, like, Didn't they flop on one major show, Lord of the Rings?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how much they spent?
How much?
$400 million.
And that shit flopped.
And it got hit by critics so hard. Like,
yeah. But finishing my point though, and even intellectual property, you wouldn't expect to make a good TV show or movie. Like, who would have thought Barbie, like a Mattel property, could have made $1 billion? Like that. So things like that. They're gonna make Bratz. They're gonna G.I. Joe, stuff like that.
all right. Just about to hit the 2-hour mark.
Longest
So
episode.
This would be our longest episode. So
Ooh, I think that deserves a round of applause.
it does. It does. So now that we've covered everything, I'm going to call it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for being guests on this episode. We really appreciate it. We had a lovely conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Loved
having
it too.
us.
You guys can walk away now knowing that you guys have a very special episode.
Aw.
Oh.
Wait, can I ask? What was in that drink? It was so good.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. We didn't do these yet. Okay, so give in your final guesses and then I'll tell you.
Cranberry juice, coconut rum.
Straight crack.
Crack.
Weed, cocaine, and marijuana.
Damn,
I could
I didn't know it was
have,
that
like,
good.
I like as I finished it, I was like, can I ask for another one, or is that like bad?
No, you could have, and then I'd have to stop mid. Yeah, you could just take over while I do it. Anyway, but those are your answers? Okay,
Yeah.
so we got crack and cranberry rum.
Yeah.
Okay. You actually got 2 of them right. There's 3 of them in there.
Wait, what?
Ooh.
Yeah, there's cranberry juice, coconut rum, and amaretto.
Amaretto. You be using amaretto all the time now. Damn.
You're a great bartender.
Thank
This
you.
is a really good. Yeah, you gotta recycle this at one of the parties. You gotta bring a picture of this out.
I usually go a little bit more heavy-handed, but I'm like, I don't know how you take your drinks yet, so like, let me.
I was
let me-
feeling it.
let me-
Feeling
really?
it 20 minutes in.
Okay, great. So I was like, let me not over pour like I usually do. So I'm glad you guys liked it though.
I love my sparkling water.
And you had your black cherry sparkling water.
Here, do you want to smell the glass?
Oh,
Amani is hydrated.
this
No, it's great.
It is
disrespect.
great.
Disrespectful
It smells
guy.
delicious.
It smells like candy.
Smell it.
No,
Do
fine.
it.
Do
All
it.
right.
Smell
I
it.
smell it.
Smell it.
Do it.
Tell us.
Ooh, no, Renee's right. Hard drugs in liquid form right there.
Obviously.
That's right.
It's addicting.
Madam Bangamine, you know what I'm saying?
All right. And with that, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of What's in Your Cup. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, and all of our social media profiles for upcoming content. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.